Shawnee Mission Unitarian Universalist Church. Whoever you are, whomever you love, wherever you are on life's journey, you are welcome here. If you are new to SMUUCh and would like to know more about our church, please fill in our Get in Touch form using the link on our video description. Or if you're interested in learning more about Unitarian Universalism, please join us for Just the Basics class on March 14th. For all of you joining us live this morning, feel free to start posting your joys and sorrows now if you would like your name to be read during the candle lighting. And now a few announcements from our minister.
Good morning. I'm Reverend Rose, the minister here at SMUUCh. It is a joy to see you and an honor to be broadcast into your homes. I have 3 announcements today. Firstly, if you have ever been interested in being on the board here at our church, please come to an informational session on March 7th after the service on Zoom. As we saw in Texas this week, governance really matters. How we make choices and decisions has a big effect on the lives and wellness of the people who love and support this church. We here at SMUUCh strive to govern ourselves in an ethical and steady way, both stewarding the church through calm and troubled waters while progressing our missions. We do hope that you will come to the nominating committee on March 7th after the service. Next, this last week was our first ever virtual church auction. And I am so happy to tell you that we raised $19,363 for the church. Thank you so much for participating in this fun and supportive event. Now, if you were a successful bidder, you will need to go to the auction website and check out. The auction website homepage has a detailed explanation of this process. But to make it easier, the checkout information will also be posted on the SMUUCh Community Facebook page and be included in this coming week's Thursday church email. And if you were a donor, you will receive a list of who bought your items. Please remember to arrange for safe transfer of items from donor to the winning bidder. And if an item is here at church, the buyer will be contacted by the auction team for a pickup or delivery date. Thank you so much to everyone who donated and bidded, and a big thank you to Jennifer Nelson, Penny Burge, Vicki Trott, and Jim Christ for organizing it. And lastly, some really fun news is that our children's religious education program is opening for outdoor family ministry in April. This means that families will be able to sign up for a certain Wednesday night to come and learn the spiritual joys of planting and tending a garden and eventually reaping the harvest. So family ministry means that no child is dropped off. Parents or grandparents or guardians must be with them. We are aiming for 2 families per Wednesday night, 10 people tops, with all social distancing, masks, and COVID safety protocols followed according to our church policy. We know that the families in our church are in some real need of outside time, connection to church community time, and that everyone can benefit from having your hands in the dirt. This is a huge step, everyone, in rejuvenating our community. Sign-ups will be posted in all our regular communication venues and in the special DRE monthly newsletter. Because together we are better. Together we are a courageous church. Together we are a courageous country, a courageous globe. Come, let us worship. Today, our service is about having a non-anxious presence. It's about finding and keeping the deep knowledge that you are grounded in yourself. Now, I'd like to play a short clip before we begin worship as a shout out to everyone who might be feeling like this.
And release all of those sounds that are trapped in your mind.
Sir, are you okay?
I'm a little messed up.
So, know that we're not here to be perfect, that a lot has been going on in the world, but that you showed up today for yourself, and that is no small deal. Come, let us worship all that we are and all that we will become. Please join us for our opening hymn, number 1000.
Morning has come, arise and greet the day. Dance with joy and sing a song of gladness. The light of hope here shines upon each face. May it bring faith to guide our journey home. A new day dawns, once more the gift is given. Wonder fills this moment and shared together. The light of peace here shines upon each face. May it bring faith to guide our journey home. Open our eyes to see that life abounds. Open hearts to welcome it among us. The light of love here shines upon each face. May it bring faith to guide our journey home.
It's chalice lighting time! All you need is a candle, a spark, and some sort of special chalice. And some parental supervision.
Please join me as we light our chalice and affirm that love is the doctrine of this church. The quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, to serve humanity and fellowship, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with the divine. Thus do we covenant with one another.
Good morning. Hi, kiddos. So today I want to talk to you about shapes. So let's name some shapes. There are ovals and polygons, and anybody else have any other shapes they can name? Octagons, pentagons, rhombus. I don't even know what a rhombus is. Dodecahedrons. Well, those are all amazing shapes, and I'm sure you know about even more shapes. But today I wanted to talk to you about how shapes can have a double meaning. So, for example, a square is a square, but it's also something you can be. Like, you can be like a rule follower or a nerd, or you can be a square. I'm a square, for example. Or a circle is a circle, but it's also something you could do. You could circle, say, a flower in the yard just by walking around it. And a triangle is a triangle, but it's also a beautiful friendship tool. So sometimes it happens that you have one friend, and between you is just one line. There's just two of you in a line between you. And sometimes it happens that you need a third person. So if you think about it, if you just have one line, if you just have like this pen and it's standing up, it falls over really easy. But if you have another piece like that to create a triangle, it's stronger. So did you know that triangles are the strongest shape in nature? Because they have such a strong structure that they can hold themselves up very well. So an example of this is, let's say you have your best friend, and your best friend is needing something. Maybe they need something like they're sad, or maybe they need something like they need to be celebrated. But either way, it doesn't have to be just you and that one friend. It's going to always be stronger if you get another person involved. So I'll give you two examples. One is, let's say you have a friend that you're worried about, and in your mind you're like, what should I do? What should I tell them? What can I do? It's always going to be more supportive if you go get somebody else and create that triangle so that there are three people involved. Maybe it doesn't also have to be another kid. It could be, you could have, two best friends and the three of you are together, but it could be the teacher, it could be their mom or your mom or anybody. But if you create that triangle, it's more supportive. So I'll give you a concrete example. So when I was little, my best friend's name was Hannah. And Hannah was having a birthday party, and I was really trying to think about what I could get her for her birthday. And I was just, racking my brain about it and thinking about things. And then I thought, you know what, maybe I'll ask Hannah's other best friend, Emma. So I went to Emma, and I said, Emma, what could we do for Hannah's birthday? So now it was like we were the 2 points in the triangle, and Hannah was up here. And together, me and Emma were better able to come up with a plan for Hannah's birthday. Because if I said something, Emma could be like, no, I don't think she's going to like that. Or if Emma said something, I could be like, oh, yeah, that's a great idea. So together, we were more supportive. So this week, I want you to think about your friends and people that you love. You can have a triangle with anybody. It doesn't have to just be a friend your own age. You might want to think about supporting your sister with the help of your dad, or some way to create those triangles. So this week, just start thinking, are there ways that I can use my friendship triangle tool to either support somebody who you're concerned about or who you think is sad, or to better celebrate somebody? Okay, thanks, kiddos. This is the time where we expand the caring love of our community, where we draw to heart and mind those in our midst who are struggling and those who feel the sweet relief of their burdens easing. Today, we think of everyone who's got a scream inside. We think of everyone who is ready for spring to arrive, everyone who is cooped up, anxious, delirious in their quarantine, and everyone who is just plain tired of being isolated and scared. Of course, our hearts go out to the people in Texas, for whom last week's storm hit much harder than expected, leaving many, many people without power, water, or even once the storm was over, pipes to repair the busted ones. We grieve for those who lost their lives in this storm, and we look eagerly to a future where climate change is taken seriously. We are ready to embrace the ways our lives must change in order to better care for the earth. We are so grateful to the people who housed others during this crisis in Texas, like the furniture store, who, similar to how this church did with Project 1020, felt that they had to open their doors. They had a giant mattress warehouse where they let 500 people sleep each night and thousands warm up. We are moved by this generosity. Lastly, in the midst of it all, we think of everyone who is currently struggling to find that non-anxious presence, everyone who is trying to figure out how to love the people who are struggling around them, everyone who is trying to figure out how to exist in this world right now, meeting the various needs of their families, in their workplaces, their church, their neighborhood, the nation. Let us have just a moment of silence. As always, we rejoice over the exquisite beauty in this world, as small or life-changing as each piece of beauty might be. Please comment in the comment section of the live chat your joy or sorrow. Remember, this moment of sharing happens online and remains public for all viewers joining us today. To join us further together in the beloved community, we will read aloud some of the posted joys and sorrows while I light the candles.
For Wanda Rose, Reverend Rose's grandmother, who is having heart surgery on Thursday. For Mark Shamel, who is having open heart surgery this week. Jen has a joy that spring is getting closer. Kenna has a joy for the continued recovery of her daughter Laura from COVID. Jen has two joys for getting her second shot on Friday and working with a small group of students over the next several weeks. Patrice has a joy for the beginning of outdoor ministry. Brian has a joy for the coming full-day classes for the Olathe School District. And we light the remaining candles for all the joys and sorrows posted in the chat and for those that remain unspoken in the silent sanctuaries of our hearts.
I invite you to put your feet flat on the floor. Breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. We will start today's meditation just by taking 5 deep breaths. As you breathe, start to notice the cavities of your airway in your dense body. As I read to you this poem by Lao Tzu, just imagine where the air is flowing, visualizing that empty space within you. 30 spokes share the wheel's hub. It is the center hole which makes it useful. Shape clay into a vessel. It is the space within that makes it useful. Cut doors and windows for a room. It is the holes that make it useful. Profit comes from what is there, but usefulness comes from what is not there. Blessed be. Please join us for our meditative hymn, or continue your deep breathing and your grounding down, your peaceful moment as we sing For All That Is Our Life.
For all that is our life, we sing our thanks and praise. For all life is a gift, which we are called to use to build the common good and make our own days glad. For all those we there serve, for services we give, for work and its rewards, for hours of rest and love, we come with praise and thanks. fearful hours that pass, we come with praise and thanks for all that is our life. For all that is our life, we sing our thanks and praise. For all life is a gift which we are called to use to build the common good and make our own days glad.
Our reading today is rooted in family systems theory, which draws on the idea that each family behaves as one emotional unit, suggesting that our behavior is both informed by and inseparable from one's family of origin, if we are not aware of it. I bring this to you because I think that the tools of family systems are extremely common sense, enlightening, and practical for our everyday ability to assess what is happening in any given relationship or moment of emotional stress. The basic idea is that whatever role you played in your family of origin, meaning your childhood family, this role may well be recreated in moments of tension throughout your life. But there is one author who takes it to such a different level, and that is Rabbi Edwin Friedman, whose book, The Committee on Ministry here at Church, is reading and discussing this year. It is called Generation to Generation, and it speaks very deeply to some of the most important ways that we can intentionally change those patterns within us, even when they have been playing out in our families for generations. He says, whether we are considering a toothache, a tumor, a relational bind, a technical problem, a crime, or the economy, most individuals in most social systems, irrespective of culture, gender, or ethnic background, will naturally choose or revert to chronic conditions of bearable pain rather than face the temporarily more intense anguish of acute conditions that are the gateway to getting free. There are times when families do things well, and there are times when families become very anxious. What I want to talk to you about today is how to invite more health into the family systems of which you are a part, not because there is something inherently flawed, but because these are anxious times, and there are tools that can support us in keeping our families healthy, which in turn keeps our church healthy, our workplaces healthy, and therefore our world healthy. Because have you ever been in a situation where you reacted quickly and passionately only to later regret it? Have you ever felt like you were hitting your head against a wall with a family member or even a coworker not getting why the situation won't give? Have you ever seen a workplace fall into chaos or found yourself or others in that rescuer role or the over-functioning role? Have you ever seen toxic triangles form? I'm willing to bet you have, because you are human. And we humans have a tendency to become anxious when the systems we are a part of are anxious. Now, anxiety can mean even just being in flux, as yours probably is right now. due to COVID, due to the schools being closed, due to the economy. And when we are not at our best, our reactions can become, frankly, knee-jerk. We might react out of the roles we've played in the past, or maybe we react to keep others from reacting, to the point that we may even live from reaction to reaction, not really being able to act effectively. And that is a helpless, anxious place. Now, there is so much I could tell you about family systems, way too much to try to describe to you in a single sermon, but my aim here today is to expose you to a way of thinking which could support us individually and as members of the beloved community to be healthier and therefore engage more deeply in our personal liberation and spiritual growth. And it all starts with one idea: that we do have control over how we react, that we can be a non-anxious presence. We cannot just do something, we can stand there. We can step out of any emotional unit, and we can have control over how we think about a situation. We even have the power to keep that peace inside. Case in point, an example that we all know about is President Joe Biden, who has entered into a very anxious system, but is not filling the anxiety void, or the anxiety black hole, as it is. And this is what I want to talk to you about today, keeping yourself calm and non-reactionary, because remember, the use of the window is that it is not there. And in the same way, we are very useful in our non-reactivity. We can become like the vessel which is shaped out of clay, useful for what we did not do, useful like the center of the wheel which remains static as the spokes fly wildly about us. So today, let us use our minds to understand the teachings of family systems and our bodies and spirits to practice non-anxious presence. We will be doing 5 affirmations during the sermon today to correspond with the 5 basic principles of family systems. And when we do the affirmations, I invite you to take deep, cleansing, nourishing breaths. So, the first concept of family systems is called the extended family field. It's the idea that all families are like a fractal, that this theory can be applied to the family or it could be applied to the world, and that we're all linked up. For example, first there is the family, might be as small as 2 people, and then there are families of families, which is the genealogical tree, and then there is the neighborhood, which is made up of families. And then there's the congregation, which is made up of neighborhoods, which is made up of families, etc. And then there's the culture and the nation and the world. That is to say that none of us is an island, and that this theory can be applied to any situation where there are many people together. For example, we know that we are each inextricably linked to each other in close relationship, but let us expand our thinking to include an extended network of families. So let's say that you witness a conflict on the board of your neighborhood nonprofit. The conflict does not start and end with those 2 people in the room who are fighting. No, it depends on each of their own family systems. If they have non-anxious family systems, the conflict will likely be more easy to resolve. However, if they both have anxious, taxed family systems, the conflict may erupt. We must always be aware that each person brings with them so many other systems, and that when in an actively stressful moment, people all too often react like they would in those families of origin, bringing that whole cloud of witnesses into the room with them. So let us do our first affirmation. So take your deep breath and repeat in your mind after me. I am grounded in my own liberation from the toxic systems around me. Okay, point number 2. This teaches us that there is only a certain amount of energy in any family or system. For this idea, let us imagine that a family is like a set of conduits arranged in a certain position. Currents flow through them, but if one of the pipes becomes blocked, the current must be redistributed to the other pipes, and perhaps one of those other pipes will burst. But remember, the pipe that burst is not necessarily the pipe that had the weakness in the first place. This gives us a visual of the whole and reminds us again that what is presenting as the issue is not necessarily the thing that needs attention. For example, in the case of the people in conflict at the nonprofit, one must wonder, is there something blocked elsewhere in the organization that is causing this disruption? See, even having that thought gives you a wider, less anxious lens, if you're thinking that you're less likely to jump right into the drama. Or in a larger scale, if we think of our society as one huge conduit, we are all experiencing a big blocked pipe, the huge pipe called human connection and close, meaningful in-person relationships. And thus, all the other pipes are taxed and anxious. The youth are struggling, marriages are taxed, the economy is anxious, the news is terrible, the workplace is stressful. And in the beginning of COVID, everyone was reminding each other, no one needs to be perfect, we're all in a pandemic. But it seems as though many people are starting to inch back towards putting greater pressure on those pipes that are already burst, expecting something close to perfection from ourselves, or putting even more pressure on our children, when it is so important to remember that in terms of the whole, reacting to someone in your family or reacting to yourself who seems dysfunctional right now by trying to force them to be better probably won't really solve any issues and in fact might make it worse down the way. And now let us close our eyes and do our affirmation, taking a deep breath. I am grounded in my own liberation from the toxic systems which surround me. Okay, number 3. So if we take that burst pipe in the whole, there's a concept which labels that burst pipe as the sick patient. This is the idea that the person who shows the most symptoms within a single family unit is often identified as the sick one, when actually they are bearing the symptoms of the whole family. An image to put with this is that of a thick, knotted block of wood which has been nailed to a board, and a single nail keeps on popping out. You can hammer it down as much as you want, but if the board is warped or crooked, it's just going to keep on coming back up. Indeed, the one person who acts out or chronically isn't doing well in a family may be doing so because of an anxious system as a whole, or because of a generational anxiety. This was described to me in this way, that if in a family there is someone who is an alcoholic and they get sober, the family might unintentionally drive them back to drinking because, as Friedman puts it, we will naturally choose or revert to chronic conditions of bearable pain rather than face the temporarily more intense anguish of the acute conditions that are a gateway to becoming free. Indeed, this is so hard to do that Al-Anon is a thing that family members of alcoholics go to every week, just like alcoholics go to AA, to support the family in changing the whole system. And now let us close our eyes and repeat in your mind after me. I am grounded in my own liberation from the toxic systems around me. And now, fourthly, we come to the most practical and immediately useful concept that we have, which is the idea of the triangle, which I spoke to the children about, but here we're talking about a little bit more menacing triangles. The advice here is that any situation that causes you stress, stop and look for the triangles. Stop and look for who is squeezing whom. Stop and notice if you are sitting at the apex of a triangle, if you imagine like a scissors, if you are getting squeezed, notice which entities are squeezing whom. Are you squeezing someone else? And when you do find yourself in a triangle, or if people are trying to triangulate you, the way to get out of it is not to just leave it or pick a side, but to triangulate right back skillfully. Let's say that little Timmy comes to you and says that his dad said he could eat candy in bed. Now, you might be fed up with Timmy, you might be fed up with your husband, but what will really set this situation straight is to peacefully get them both together with a smile on your face, with that non-anxious presence in your heart. Say to your husband, Timmy and I have been discussing how you said he can have candy before bed. The benefit of this is then that the two of them have to figure it out. They tried to rope you in, and you just said, nope, you guys got yourself into this, and I won't be brought into it. You're giving it back to them. So now let us close our eyes and do our affirmation one more time, taking a deep breath. I am grounded in my own liberation from the toxic systems around me. Which brings me to the point that ties it all together, which is self-differentiation. This is the understanding that yourself is different than the emotional unit of the family or whatever system you're in. That yourself is different from the people who are triangulating you, that in fact the art of just standing there, the non-reactivity part, may be what makes all the rest of the liberation possible. Because when you let other people react however they will, without rescuing them or reacting yourself, you're A, not making it any worse, and B, things will be clearer because you have the space to process and use your thinking brain rather than your emotional brain to assess the situation, use all these tools, and act skillfully. Which admittedly is so much harder than it looks. Take it from me, the most helpful type A person ever. Driving in your own lane, not rescuing, maintaining that non-anxious presence, doing nothing is the hardest thing to do in an anxious system where everything is telling everybody to act. But self-differentiation is the most important part when everything is tense. And the way that we self-differentiate is to take care of yourself first. The opposite is so ingrained in us that we might even label this as selfish or rude, when in fact this is just the systems around us trying to drive us back to codependence. When truly, there would be no good leadership if it weren't for self-differentiated individuals. There would be no imagination or invention if it weren't for people who could think beyond what they have been taught is possible. The art of it is creating space between you and the anxious system so that you can do your own work, so that there can be the best result, and so that you can remain healthy. So that you can think, am I seeing any triangles? Am I quick to blame the person who is acting out? What systems are present? What generational patterns do I carry with me? And to remember that we are part of a web that can be taxed. And now, let us do our affirmation one last time, closing your eyes, saying in your own mind these words, I am grounded in my own liberation from the toxic systems around me. Because to be liberated from the anxious systems around us would be so nice, and not just for us. Obviously, the Grinch was disrupting everyone else because he was such a mess. It's not just for us that we need to take care of ourselves, but for everyone. It might seem counterintuitive that you being separate from the emotional unit is useful, but it is the hole in the wall that makes the window work. And that, I do think, is the hardest thing to truly understand, to step out of that reactivity and into that sense of peaceful space within, to care for ourselves like that will actually support us in living up to our potential as the incredible family members that we are and that we want to be. For who do you serve by reacting and staying enmeshed? Who do we serve by rescuing or blaming? It might seem like it serves everyone by keeping everyone happy or enmeshed, but truly what the world needs is more brilliant, well people. Those who love you need you to be differentiated even when they struggle, and that's what you need too. So I want you to praise yourself. I want you to love yourself, to forgive yourself, to see yourself for all that you do, and to be able to exist in this world peacefully. And I know that you can. I know that you can because it is within your reach using these very basic tools and theories. Hear this from my lips, that the thing that you are struggling with, the thing that you are struggling to get free of, the system or mental process that is plaguing you, you can liberate yourself from it. You can move past it. We can move past it. We can move past all of this anxiety in our system if only we absorb and take on that non-anxious energy, that peaceful, empty space, which is actually the useful space. Let us thus liberate ourselves from our reactivity. Let us become free from the systems around us by removing ourselves from all that emotionality. Let us do that hard and beautiful work of knowing that our self can be separate from the whole. Be brave in this. Indeed, Rabbi Friedman also says that to become non-anxious, to become a self-differentiated person, this requires a willingness to be exposed and vulnerable. Because one of the major limitations of imagination's fruits is the fear of standing out. It is more than a fear of criticism. It is anxiety at being alone, of being in a position where one can rely little on others, a position that puts one's own resources to the test, a position where one will have to take total responsibility for one's own response to the environment. But leaders, family members must not only be afraid of that position, they must come to love it. Blessed be, and amen.
The work of the church depends on us. In the context of global and national strife, SMUUCh can create and foster space for connection and healing. We invite you to give generously to support the ongoing work of the church. The offering will now be given and received in grateful appreciation of our shared values.
Hey, brother, there's an endless road to rediscover. Hey, sister, know the water's sweet, but blood is thicker. Oh, if the sky comes falling down for you, there's nothing in this world I wouldn't do. Hey, brother, do you still believe in one another? Hey, sister, do you still believe in love, I wonder? Oh, if the sky comes falling down for you, there's nothing in this world I wouldn't do. What if I'm far from home? Oh, brother, I will hear your call. What if I'm lose it all? Sister, I'll be there. Oh, if the sky comes falling down for you, there's nothing in this world I couldn't do. Hey, brother, there's an endless road to rediscover. Hey, sister, know the water's sweet, but blood is thicker. Oh, if the sky comes falling down for you, there's nothing in this world I wouldn't do. What if the far from home? Oh, brother, I will hear your call. What if I lose it all? Oh, sister, I will help you out. Oh, if the sky comes falling down for us, there's nothing in this world I wouldn't do.
We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Please join us in the closing hymn, number 1028, The Fire of Commitment.
From the light of days remembered burns a beacon bright and clear, guiding hands and hearts to spirits into faith set free from fear. When the fire of commitment sets our mind and souls ablaze, when our hunger and our passion meet to call us on our way, when we live with a deep assurance of the flame that burns within, then our promise finds fulfillment and our future can begin. From the stories of our living rings a song both brave and free, calling pilgrims still to witness to the life of liberty. When the fire of commitment sets our minds and souls ablaze, when our hunger and our passion meet to call us on our way, when we live with deep assurance of the flame that burns within, then our promise finds fulfillment and our future can begin. From the dreams of youthful vision comes a new prophetic voice, which demands a deeper justice built by our courageous choice. When we fire of commitment sets our mind and souls ablaze, when our hunger and our passion meet to call us on our way, when we live with deep assurance of the flame that burns within, then our promise finds fulfillment and our future can begin.
This week, I invite you to pay special attention to the systems around you and to really take that non-anxious, non-reactive self-differentiation seriously. Go in peace.